Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, we appreciate your time for coming out to be a part of today's training. So, like Ashley mentioned earlier, this is very interactive. So, we're going to be doing a lot of responding. If you have questions, please feel free to put it in the chat and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. But again, it's very interactive. So you're going to be, I'm going to ask questions and then I'm going to ask you to possibly put your answers in the chat, or I will ask you to take your microphone off mute and then actually speak to us. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to share the screen and want to get going. So again, welcome everybody. My name is Capricia Parker and I'm with the Office of School Culture and Climate. And today you're going to be with me as we talk about step-by-step PBIS at home. And again, welcome, and I am glad to see all of those who are in teams today and with us. Awesome. All right. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, what is PBIS? Well, PBIS is a positive behavior intervention and support. At PBIS at home, what does it do is it helps parents to create and maintain a safe, structured, consistent home environment where adult to child relationships are strengthened. It benefits all children by teaching positive behaviors and building life skills. So in your handout, you will see a question is, what is PBIS? So just take a little mental note for yourself of what are those things for PBIS. And also I would say, make sure that you have a piece of paper and a pen so that way you can write down some of this information that we're going to give to you today. All right. So now we're going to talk about, how do I use PBIS at home? So here are some ways that you can actually use PBIS home. But before we start, let's talk about this. Here's a question I want to ask you all. If it works, if PBIS, well, let's see here. Research says, let's talk about this first. Research states that when behavior expectations are clearly established and taught in the home, children's problems behavior is prevented or reduced. So let's just take a moment to think about that for a moment. Let's think about it. Now, if PBIS, if it works at school, could it work at home? That's a question. I would like for you to put in the chat, if you agree or disagree with that. If PBIS work at school, it can work at home. At this time, go ahead and put in the chat if you agree or disagree. Awesome. I see a few people that says they agree. Excellent. So now let's talk about, think about it. I want you guys to think about it for a second. A behavior, and I want you to think this for yourself. Just take the time to think about this for yourself. A behavior that your child exhibits that you would like to change. What is one behavior that your child exhibits that you would like to change? The follow-up question is, why is it inappropriate? The third question is, what would you like for it to look like? And what can be done to change it? What have you already tried? So with this series of questions, what I'm going to ask you all to do is to take 30 seconds to think about that one exhibit behavior that you would like to change. And then after the follow-up questions, I'm going to have you guys to take 30 more seconds. And then I'm going to actually have you to share out. So we're going to use 1 minute total. Okay? May go. So at this time, would you please, if you could, raise your hand if you would like to share that one behavior that you would like for your child to change, that they exhibit that you would like to change. And then let's answer some of those follow-up questions. Who would like to go? Yes. Um, Terry, if you would take your mic off of mute and go ahead and answer the question.
Yes. Um, I I would like to, I guess, address the lack of self control in my student.
And why do you feel that behavior is inappropriate at this time?
I feel the behavior is inappropriate because it prevents her from learning the lessons that are being taught and distracts others from learning as well.
Okay. And what would you like for that behavior to eventually look like?
Uh, I would like it to look like, I guess, an attentive student that is not disrupting the classroom.
Absolutely. And right now, what can be done to change it? What do you think needs to be done in order to change that behavior?
Create expectations, clear expectations, and consequences for those, I guess, not being performed up to the standard that I would expect.
Awesome. And one last question. What have you tried already?
Everything.
Okay.
uh, I feel that I've tried clear expectations. Um, I, I've tried positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and I still have what I guess is class disruptions.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, what I would like for you to do, Terry, is to put a pin in it because we're going to come back to
Okay.
that when we talk about a few strategies this evening. All right. Thank you so much
Sure.
for
Sure.
sharing. Let's take another one. Miss
Absolutely.
Young.
Okay, thank you. What I would like to see is more motivation
And why is this behavior inappropriate, Miss Young?
because of lack of motivation. I mean, I feel like without motivation, you just really don't succeed. That's just what I think. No drive, no motivation. There is nothing, it's one of those you have to want to. That's that's what I believe. You really have to want to. There's nothing nobody can do to give you that drive and that want to.
Absolutely. And what would you like for that behavior to look like?
Just to I would like one for him to show interest in school, even if you don't like it, because you know you have to do it. And I think when you don't like when he because he doesn't like, well, I think it's just kind of the lack of motivation. It makes everything else so much harder. So I would just like for him to just have when I say drive, I think that's going beyond just the minimum. Just having interest in wanting to do it.
And the last two, what can be done to change it? And what have you tried already?
Um, I don't know what can be done to change it, but I just mean just supporting and helping. I don't believe in just giving, and I wouldn't do it anyway. But uh, what I've tried is just supporting, and I find myself wanting it more than him. And then I realized I kind of started backing off. I think I backed off a little too far, if I have to admit it, because I can't want it more than you, because it's just frustrating at that point.
Truly understand. Thank you, Ms. Young. Thank you, Terry, for being brave and sharing out with us this evening. I really appreciate it. So again, please everybody keep a pen in these questions because what we're going to do is we're going to come back after we talk about some strategies that you can use that can help support you in those behaviors that you see that are inappropriate with your student. All right. So let's talk about our steps that we're going to actually talk about today. Here we go. So the first step, like Mr. Terry mentioned, we have to set clear expectations. It's important to state them and be consistent. The second step is to have a family meeting. So we're going to talk about that, and we're actually going to watch a video to show what that may look like and how you can actually use that in your home. The step three, we're going to use a positive reinforcement for appropriate behaviors. We're going to talk about that, what it looks like, and how could you use that. And the fourth step is we're going to use consequences for for problem behavior. All right. Okay. So let's talk about clear expectations. With our first step, you're going to do, and this is actually in your handout as well. We're going to talk about it, and then you guys will be able to take it home with you and actually work with it, okay? But the first step is we're going to create a behavior matrix that establish expected behaviors for essentials routines at home. So you all might say, Capricia, what does that look like? Let me show you. So the first thing we want to do is set those three known B's that every student know about at your school. And this is what they are. Be safe, be responsible, be respectful. So our kids are already familiar with this, and so it's important that we already have it up for them. But instead of showing it what the be safe, be responsible, be respectful on the school level, we're going to practice of what that might look like at home. Okay? So with the matrix, on to our next slide, we're going to talk about what that might look like. So at the top, we have the expectations. Remember, we talked about those? Be safe, be responsible, and be respectful. But we also have columns to what support that with your daily schedule. So the first one is getting up in the morning. The second one is doing my online distance learning. Some might do an online class, some might be at school. Having fun together. What does that look like? Homework time, mealtime, and getting ready for bed. This is a daily schedule that your students can use, and this is what you can actually post in your house in an area where your student or child will be able to see that visually. Okay, so let's give a prime example. When you look at the portion of be safe, when it's time for you to do, let's say, your online learning or in class, the first thing is practice internet safety rules. Or if you're at school, it will be practice your school-wide expectations and rules. During mealtime, when you need to be safe, watch out for sharp knives, glass, or dishes and stove. So those are the things you kind of want to tell them about to be safe. All right. And again, you can make this to fit your home setting. All right. The next one, when we talk about be responsible, the first thing you might do when it's time to get up in the morning, it may be bring my breakfast dishes to the sink. Okay. After they finish eating, putting their dishes in the sink. Be responsible. Actually, washing your dishes after you finish eating in the morning. The second thing, again, if they're at school or at online, take care of electronics, complete work online, and check in with your teacher. Same thing. Make sure you do your assignments, turn it to your teacher, as well as ask questions if you need help. When you're having fun, put away what you take out. All right. Make sure you clean up around your area. Be responsible. If they're going to a game at school, make sure they check in with you. All right. So that you know that they're safe, they're at the game, they're having a good time. Um, Another thing I know that my best friend she does with her kids is that she FaceTime them at all times to let them know so she can see exactly where they at to make sure that they are taking accountability and being responsible for where they are. Next, homework time. Do all of your work in a timely manner. And if you need help, you can sit with your tutor or you can sit with your teacher or you can meet with your parents. Next, mealtime, help to clear the table or matter of fact, help to cook. Last but not least, for getting ready for bed, get your clothes out a day earlier so that you will be on time when you wake up. Plain and simple. And or when they wake up in the morning, could be make up their bed. So be respectful. Same thing. Be quick in the restroom so that others can use it too. I know sometimes when we have multiple siblings and they're using the restroom, some like to stay in there longer than others. So it's important that they're in and out. Having fun, show good sportsmanship. Mealtime, if that's the time you want to do your family time, they can actually listen to everyone. And when it's time for them to get ready for bed, go to bed at a designated bedtime. All right. So these are some things that you can actually set up for your child so that they can be responsible and be able to complete these things in a timely manner. Now, I did see someone from Sunkids stated that what if they're already doing these things? However, what if they're not doing their homework in a timely manner? Great question, Sunkids. So if they're not doing it in a timely manner, then we need to set clear expectations and also to possibly you could add a timer and then check in to make sure that the assignment is correct. So there's some other options that you can do with that as well. And thank you for your question. All right. So, and also I want to mention you may not need to fill every spot of the matrix, but it's something that you can, the areas that you know that needs to be corrected or you want to change of the behavior, make sure you input those things that you want to see a change in the matrix. All right. This is why you kind of don't see everything is filled, but it's really important that you insert the things that you want to see the change in. All right. Thank you. So let's talk about step two, where we're going to talk about family meetings. All right. So, with our family meetings, this is actually something that you can do with your child. It's a time where you find a designated time where everybody put everything away. So, there's no cell phones, there's no television, it's just you and your family. And this is the time that you use to conversate about things that are happening throughout the week or things that are going on. So, here are some things that we want to talk about with family meetings. It's a good idea to actually meet. Actually, you can do the meet with the matrix at home, and then that way you can explain the expected behavior. It's also a good idea to input from the children, but you don't need their approval because, again, you are the adult. So sometimes you kind of want their feedback, not sometimes, but majority of the times you want their feedback to things that they would like to see in the matrix too. Next, you want to demonstrate the expected behavior, and you can do some role playing and practice of the behavior. One thing that the teachers do when they're teaching students how to, well, they're teaching the students their rules and expectations, they practice. They practice what is the positive way, what is the negative way. All right. And this goes for all grade levels. I'm talking about from pre K all the way to seniors in high school. All right. You have to practice your expectations by teaching them and also do a role playing with them. All right. And then you want to explain the positive reinforcers for the consequences. All right. So when you do these things, these are the things that you will receive. When you do the negative, this is what you will receive. All right. So let's actually watch a video about family meetings. And once we do that, we're going to actually talk about it. All right. So Erica is going to play the video. And while the video is playing, I want you guys to take some notes. If that's writing it down or a mental note, and check it out.
I am Erin.
And I'm Josh.
And we have 5 kids.
And we're still alive to tell about it.
If you're looking to take your family from just surviving to thriving, you have to be intentional about it.
And the best way to do this is with a weekly family meeting.
I call this meeting to order.
Family meeting is so important because it's an intentional time that we set aside each week to focus on the things that our family needs to focus on so that we can be the best family we can be.
The good, the bad, whatever we got. Got it?
Family meetings can take anywhere from 15 quick minutes to 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the age range of your kids. But the bottom line is that it doesn't need to take very long to connect and get on the same page.
We do our family meetings on late Sunday mornings, and it's just a great way to kick off the week and let the kids know what to expect in the week to come. One of the first things on the agenda are high fives.
I'm going to high five Tyler for basketball practice. His first basketball practice ever.
You give a high five by noticing something that your siblings do and letting them know that you're thankful for them doing that.
High five. Good job, bud.
The next thing on the agenda is family calendar and family menus. We talk about all of the activities for the week so everybody's on the same page. Now we need to talk about meals. We talk about the menu. The kids kind of chime in with what they would like to see on the menu that week. Sometimes we take their suggestions, sometimes we don't.
Chili.
It's a really good way for us to be on the same page and know what the week ahead will bring us. Right?
Another thing that happens during family meeting is we discuss personal challenges. Once a month, we come up with a new personal challenge for each person in the family. And it could be anything from practicing my cursive writing to working on my handstand to practice dribbling with my left hand. And the parents also get involved too, which is great because they can see us actually working towards being a better person too. We always want to end on a high note, so what we do is a little family fun. One of the kids gets to decide what the family fun is going to be for that meeting, something that we can all do around the table. And it can be something like telephone, or we draw and we can do a little bit of competition who can guess what the drawing is. Just a little fun way to wrap up the family meeting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We end our family meeting with a clap up. So just like at the end of a sports game, the whole team kind of comes around. The agenda leader gets to choose what word we break it to, and so it's usually something crazy. 2, 3, and then we take a family picture. All right.
It's just kind of fun to look back at how the kids have grown. It's just a fun way to document what we've done as a family.
Families all look different, so family meetings are going to look different too.
But the important thing is just to make the time to be consistent and to stay connected. High five, Mama.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to have Erica to share back her screen. All right, so let's talk about that for a moment. And if you could, you can actually put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will be able to call on you. Tell me your thoughts about the family meeting. What are some of your takes about the family meeting? Yes, really good. Very excellent idea with the family meeting. Something that you can definitely do. One thing I did notice, he stated that you can actually use it on a Saturday morning. So it's something that is very feasible for you to use. It could be something that you can use after school one day or Sunday right after attending a game or something that you can find time of doing. So this is excellent. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I do have it says someone said they've been doing it. Positive, forward looking, so beneficial. I'm speechless. Awesome. That works. Okay. So now we're going to move on to talk about positive reinforcement with our step 3. Okay. So with our positive reinforcement, it is essential to consistently provide positive reinforcement of expected behaviors. And let me tell you guys, it does not matter if it is a small achievement. Actually, compliment the child on that. So let's say your child is getting up in the morning and getting to school on time. If you know that is one of the major things that they're always late, like myself, but if they're always late with going in to school and you see that they went into school on time, give them the biggest praise and be specific about it. And it can sound something like this. You know what? I'm gonna use my name as an example. Capricia, you was there on time. I am so proud of you, and therefore, you know what? let's go to Chick-fil-A and have a milkshake. But make sure those positive reinforcement is something that they're interested in and if they like. Now, if your child doesn't like milkshakes, I wouldn't advise going to Chick-fil-A and getting a milkshake. Okay, make sure it's something that they are interested in and they like. All right. So here are some ideas that you can use for your child or student. They have a point sticker chart. 1 point sticker is earned for each expectations met. And then the child could have a goal and earn a reward for reaching a goal. There could be a menu of rewards, some big, some small, that a child can buy with their points. Or there could be a family goal. When we earn 50 points as a family, we will go on a major vacation. I know I have a coworker where they love Disney. So every year they go to Disney as a family trip, and he has older children, like children that's in high school, upper, intermediate, elementary. So it's something that you can use. So let's think about that for a moment. Let's think about that for a moment. Think about something that your child is interested in, and how would that be beneficial for you to use for that student? Let's think about it. Take 30 seconds.
Oh yes, I think it'll be beneficial because it's a motivating thing. Like if kids know that they will get something for doing something, it kind of motivates them more to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know for my god baby, and I always use her as an example because I don't have any children, but I love her dearly, so I always talk about her. Prime example would be she loves Goodwill. She's very artsy. So her thing is if she makes a great grade throughout the week, we'll go to Goodwill and we'll be able to shop for some items that she would like to dress up and model in. That's her thing. That's what she loves to do. I did see somebody else hand raised. If you could take your phone off of mute, your mic off of mute. I just saw it. And I missed the name.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
So yes, my child loves video games, so I think that could be a good reward, like over behavior and collecting some amount, which is reasonable, not getting like every month new game, but maybe something like that. I think that will be good reward for him.
That would be an excellent reward. I forgot all about the Xbox and the
Yeah.
I can't say the Nintendo Wii. I'm telling my age, y'all. But that is a great example. Using video games to actually
Yeah.
interact with the student, and then possibly you can have a competition with the kids so it can make it more interactive. So that is an amazing idea. Excellent job. Thank you, ladies, for sharing out. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, our step four, what we're going to talk about, last but not least, we're going to oh, wait a minute. We're going to still talk about stickers. I'm sorry. So, another thing, will we have to give stickers and points forever? Absolutely not. So, let's talk about that. Because once you start giving out stickers for the student, what you want to do is you want to kind of like wean them off when you see the behavior is diminishing. All right. But again, you set the goal. If the goal is for the child to wake up on time and get to school every day, if they start doing that, then you will start decreasing the reward for that and then move to the next behavior. So let's talk about that. So again, the question came up with, will we have to give stickers and points forever? Absolutely not. So, well, on the next slide, it talks about you will have to do it for a while to establish that routine, right? Because you want to establish that routine and to get the momentum going, right? But over the period of time, you might find that you have to change it up a little bit so that you can keep it fresh and add new expectations for changing the situation or learning to play an instrument or adding a pet to a family, right? So you might want to change the behavior up. Because if that behavior is diminished and you don't have a problem with your child waking up and going to school on time, then we'll work on the next expectation. All right. And then we'll add more expectations to that. So should kids just behave because they are earning the sticker? Of course not. Okay. But a point or a sticker is just a token. And the real payoff is the positive interaction. That's what you're looking for. So the main thing you want to look for is that positive interaction with those students, with the child. And I see, Ashley, you say we do a Mario Kart family game night as a family reward on Friday nights. Awesome. I know that's fine. So yeah, there's different things that you all could do. So let's talk about notes. Let's talk about notes about positive reinforcement. The first thing is verbal praise. It's the most effective tool for teaching and maintaining positive behavior. Because think about it, as parents, we're constantly correcting, we're constantly telling, and sometimes we have to take a step back to think about, did I give my baby some verbal praise today? Those are very important. So we want to make sure that we recognize that and give the effective verbal praise of the positive things we're seeing with their behavior. The next thing, when you're talking about praise, it should be very specific. Remember earlier I said, Capricia, I saw that you got up and got to school on time. You did an excellent job, and I'm very proud of you. I was very specific into what I was saying about getting to school on time. Just saying, oh, great job, Capricia, you're not really saying what you're doing a great job of. So you want to be specific in what you're talking about. So clearly say, you can say something as, you must feel proud of your report card instead of, I am so proud of your report card. All right. Something else you could say is, great job following directions in the grocery store today. Don't add, why can't you do that all the time? Sometimes we're guilty. I know I could be sometimes. But if you gave them a praise, don't come back with the negative. All right. Keep it with the praise because that's what they did. We want to focus on the positive, not so much of the negative when we're giving out praise. All right. Excellent. So now we're going to talk about step 4 for consequences at home. When we're talking about consequences at home, when a problem behavior occurs, it's important to do the following steps. Remain calm. All right. I know this can be hard sometimes, but we have to remain calm. Remind your child of the expectation. The next thing, reteach, model, and have your child practice the expected behavior. And you can use your rubric to help you do this. Next, use consequences appropriately. Decide ahead of time what consequences there will be for the problem behavior. So, if you have a student who came home late when they were supposed to be, let's say they caught the activity bus, but they didn't come home to maybe 30 minutes after the activity bus dropped them off. So the consequence may be this. Think about um, what will be the consequence for that situation. So one might, if you choose an inappropriate consequence, will be, okay, Michael, I need you to go and stand in a corner. If you know that's ineffective and that's not age appropriate for a 16-year-old, then we need to come up with some consequences. So come up with consequences that's age appropriate and also a consequence that is going to be effective for that student. So one might be they might not have their phone activity for maybe throughout the day. All right. Only for when it's time to communicate with you. That might be an appropriate consequence. So, and the last thing is consequence the behavior and not the child. All right. Understand there's a difference between the two. Separate the child from the behavior because what you don't want to do is become upset with the whole being of the child. It's separate the behavior from the child. All right. Okay. So let's talk about some more consequences. So you want to give the minimum amount of attention required of the misbehavior. Stay talking for when they're listening. Because when you're, just think about it. If you're upset and somebody's talking to you, honestly, you don't want to listen. You're not in the headspace to listen. So give it time to where you can save that talk and you can actually talk with them when they are listening. Next, don't ask questions that you don't want the answer to. Okay? Because sometimes they'll give us those answers and we're like, wait a minute, you know, don't ask questions that you don't want the answers to. Next, Use consequences that is age appropriate and related to the misbehavior. All right, the one that I mentioned earlier. For a 16-year-old, I'm not going to tell my 16-year-old to go stand in the corner and do a timeout. That's not age appropriate for that student. I'm going to have, I know that's something that he or she likes is to take away their cell phone time, and that will be my option for that consequence. All right. If I know they do not like washing dishes throughout the week, I might pick that as their chore for the whole week. All right. So I'm going to choose consequences that are age appropriate. Next, um, related. So let's say you left your bike out, you might lose your bike privileges for tomorrow, right? Or not related. Left your bike out, no dessert. Okay. So you want to make sure that it relates to the consequence that they did. All right. Again, prime example, like if they left their bike out, then we won't have no privileges for that bike tomorrow. And if what's not appropriate is if you left your bike out, no dessert. Okay. All right. So any questions about that? So let's talk about, will this really work? Because that's a question that many people may have. The good news about this is promoting positive behaviors in the home using PBIS principles has proven to make a positive 80% difference in the family. 80%. The bad news, kind of, nothing works for everyone, and you have to work at it and stay with it. The key to this, everybody, is be consistent. You must be consistent for it to work. Now, let's talk about the difference. Be the difference. You will feel more positive when you focus on what is going right. Your children will respond to that positive change in you and give you more reasons to feel positive. So that is the difference. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And now let's apply it. Just use it. So let's go back. Remember those questions I asked about in the very beginning? So now we're going to talk about it. Now that I've given you some tools in your toolbox, some extra ones, let's talk about again that behavior that your child has exhibit and you would like change. The reason why you think it's inappropriate. What would you like for that to look like, excuse me, and what can be done to change it? And what, instead of what have you tried, what tips will you use to help change that behavior? So think about those questions that we talked about earlier, but I only want to hear one, this question here. Which tips would you use to help change that behavior from what you've learned this evening? I'm going to give you all 60 seconds to think about it, and then I'm going to ask you to share.
I like the idea of the weekly family meeting on Sundays, setting clear expectations for the week ahead.
I think that's a great idea. Just preparing the child for what we're going to work on for the week. And here are our clear expectations. And if they meet their goals, here are some positive reinforcements. Awesome job, Terry. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
See how excited I am?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Who else would like to share out with some tips that you learned from today? Fun kids, yes. I see family meetings, sticker systems, and timer for homework. Excellent. But make sure that you check to make sure that homework is correct as well. All right. We want to make sure their homework is done effectively and done right. Thank you. Yes. Um, Savane, I think I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, please forgive me. If
So I think we are having issues about getting ready in the morning. So I think uh, I would like to encourage, like, first talk during the family meeting and have a goal of 1 point for getting ready, and then bigger goal of maybe we can get a game, like I said before. And then the negative consequence is going to be that he will not get the time to play with his friends that day in the evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just making sure that when you're doing your family meeting, is that we also prepare for if those
Mhm,
behaviors were to come about.
mhm,
We'll
mhm.
also prepare for those positive reinforcement as well as those consequences for those students. I'm sorry, did you
Okay.
say something? I'm sorry.
No, no. Sorry. I was just saying yes, yes. Sorry.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Miss Young, I saw your hand raised.
Yes, ma'am. I honestly was out of ideas about just, I hate to use the lazy word. He was in the, around when I was first speaking, but just the not being motivated. So sometimes I just talk to him. I stop fussing. I don't even usually give out a whole consequence, but what I have to change is I got to stop lecturing. And something I did learn was when you give praise, don't take it with, don't add in there, this is what you should have did all along, or this is what you could be doing. That's what I took from the meeting. One thing that stood out that works for me to work on.
Thank you, Miss Young. Thank you. Just reminding, and sometimes, and it's okay. We're human. We do that a lot, you know. But just remember that when we're giving out that specific praise for that child, leave it at the praise. That's it. And then when you need to correct them, you set your expectations. Talk about those things that need to be corrected. Give it to them. Give it no more than, like we tell our teachers, we give them 30 seconds. Correct the behavior, move on. Same thing. Awesome. Thank you so much. And Miss Kids,
You're
remain
welcome. One,
strong. Yes, yes, Miss Young. I'm sorry.
oh, just something I wanted to say, and it may not even be that important, but for my family meeting with my son, it seems like we get to communicate a lot more. I don't know why when we're riding in the car alone. At home, I'm not getting any attention or, no conversation. But if we're just riding by ourselves, I also give him the freedom. I lend time for him I tell him what my issues are, and what can we do to fix it? Like, what would you like for me to do so that you don't continue to do that? That way you can be okay and I can be okay. So I try to do that too.
And Miss Sean, that's actually a great strategy to use because what that does is allowing your child to talk to you and it's giving that time for him to build that relationship with you and learn some things of how they can communicate back and forth. And that's really important. So that's actually a great tool to use. Keep using it.
Right.
Keep
Oh,
using
I do.
it.
That's one of my big, I don't know if it works for anybody else, but one of my big parenting rules is I give space to for him to be able to speak, you know. And from raising him, there is no disrespect, but I give room for him to have a voice.
Mm.
So I always do that, whether I like it or not, because then you can learn what they're thinking and how they see things different than you do as a parent. For me, we were like that because I said so type generation. So I always lend room for him to have a voice. Doesn't mean he's gonna have his way, but it keeps that communication open.
And that's the key. Keep that open communication. Thank you so much, Miss Young. Excellent job, guys. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so we have like 5 minutes left. So let me give you some solutions for families, and these are 8 practical tips for parents. All right, here we go. Tip one: keep your expectation realistic. Two, you want to plan ahead. Three, clearly state your expectation in advance. Four, offer limited reasonable choices. Use when then statement. Catch your child being good. Catch your child being good more often. All right. More so the positive, less of the negative. Stay calm and use neutral time. All right. So again, I just want to let you guys know that we do have more information about PBIS. And here's the link on our next slide. It shows you all the information where we actually got this presentation from. And it can give you more information of how you can use PBIS at home. So again, make sure that you take these files, you're able to use them, follow up on them, and thank you again so much for being with us this evening. It's been a joyous time with you guys, and I just appreciate you all for being here. So, if you have any questions, you're feeling free to hit us up in the chat. We'll be on here for a couple more minutes, but I really enjoyed each and every one of you, and thank you for your time. Before you leave, please take a moment to complete the evaluation for tonight's course. We'll love to hear back from you. We'll love your feedback. If there's any, again, my name is Capricia Parker. So if you, my name will be on there for you to insert. But we definitely want to hear from you. So please complete the evaluation link. Again, I'm going to be on here for the next 3 minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free. Other than that, complete the survey. Thank you guys and have a wonderful night.